Hey there, I'm Jason Peacock. Welcome back to my board game vlog. Check me out on Twitter right here. Yeah, I'm always texting pictures of games I'm playing. I haven't done one of these in a while, but I have been doing regular Dice Tower reviews. So if you go to my YouTube page, you'll see my Dice Tower reviews. I've got a review for First Martians, Spoils of War, and I believe I have one for The Godfather going up very soon. So there's that. I'm trying to get back into doing these things, so look for more of these coming soon. I have played a ton lately, so I have lots to talk about. Let me start off with some exciting news. And really, I'm going to focus on one of my favorite publishers, Plaid Hat Games. They've been quite silent for most of last year, and now there's just a flurry of announcements, and I'm excited about just about everyone. So Crossfire, it's a Emerson Matsuuchi game, designer of Spectre Ops and Volt and Century Spice Road. It's a 3-minute social deduction game, plays super fast, hidden roles, there's assassins, been hearing great buzz about it, and I'm looking for my new go-to social deduction game. So can't wait for Crossfire to come out. And then there is some games that I don't know a lot about, but they've announced. Stuffed Fables, the follow-up game after Mice and Mystics from Jerry Hawthorne. This is another family-based game. It's about a bunch of stuffed animals that are trying to protect the little boy or little girl in the story. And the board game is like a big book of maps. So similar to a game like Near and Far, your story's taking place on a different page of this book as you're moving through. It's got cute little minis, which probably going to be a really immersive story. Mice and Mystics has been a great time with my 8-year-old. We played through the whole first campaign. So this is one that I'm looking for some good word of mouth about, and I'd probably scoop it up. Starship Samurai. This is something no one really knows anything about. They just had some pictures of it from Gen Con. It's by Isaac Vaga, the designer of Ashes by Plaid Hat, and Dead of Winter. So he's an awesome designer because I love both of those games. And there's just some miniatures of some spaceships and some samurai dudes. So I'm definitely intrigued. So can't wait to find out more about that. It's certainly on my radar right now. Crystal Clans. This is what I know a little bit about. I hope it's coming soon. Plaid Hat Games got on the map with a game called Summoner Wars. It's a 2-player, although it does play up to 4 with extra boards and stuff like that, but primarily a 2-player game where your army is a bunch of cards that are moving on a grid. Kind of like a game of chess, except your chess pieces can attack each other with cool attacks and magic and that sort of thing. I love it. I have everything for it. My wife and I have played it like 30 times, and my wife goes for coffee at her friend's place and plays it with her quite a bit as well. Now this game is also a 2-player card combat game, but it looks like it brings a lot of really unique mechanisms to the table. Like you can stack more of the same kind of unit, and the more people are stacked, the more powerful of an ability they can have. You can kind of do whatever you want on your turn, but the more you do, the more you're giving your opponent to do on their turn. So there's this constant tug of war and decision making that has to go into like how much do you really want to do, because you don't want to give your opponent too much. So this is almost at the top of my anticipated games list. And just announced there last week a new standalone Spectre Ops game by Emerson Matsuuchi. It looks like a similar hidden role game like Fury of Dracula and Spectre Ops. Don't know anything about this one yet, but Emerson Matsuuchi, Spectre Ops, I'm super excited. Okay, let's move on with games I've been playing lately. Now, I'm only going to talk about ones I really want to highlight, although I have been playing a ton. I now have almost 3 different game groups going on, plus I'm playing with my my 8-year-old on the weekends and stuff. So let me just jump into it. Let's start off with The Godfather, Corleone's Empire by Cool Mini or Not. Like I said, I got a review going up on the Dice Tower. This is a worker placement / area control gangster game. It doesn't really have a Godfather theme, but it really has a great gangster theme. And the game is just smooth and polished. It's got the perfect play length. It's got the perfect escalation. And the strategy and decisions behind the worker placement versus the territory control is brilliant. I've played this game 6 times now, and I get excited every time. It's got a really big excitement at the end of the game because everybody's money gets stored in their little metal suitcases, so you don't really know who's winning. And I love it at the end where everybody's just counting up their money and adding bonus points for territories controlled and jobs of certain colors completed. So if you want to know more about that, like I said, look for a review going up on the Dice Tower soon. Next, Viral. Territory control games are probably like my favorite genre of game. I love war, area control kind of games. This is an area control game where all the players are viruses and the organs in the human body are the territories you want to control. I've played it 3 times now, and man, this is like a love at first sight game. I don't want to give it too much praise because I want to play it a few more times and I want to let that initial excitement settle to see if I'm still feeling the same way. But this is another Dice Towers Essential line that Tom Vasel brought to Arcane Wonders to bring to the world, and I'm very glad he did. He's been knocking it out of the park with his selection so far. So the game, again, it's the perfect length. The game rounds are taking a part of the body and a card with different actions on it, like moving or absorbing other viruses into you for the turn, attacking other viruses, infecting, just adding new pieces there. And the decisions you have to make and the amount of different things you have to read that are going on the table is phenomenal. This is definitely a game where a very experienced player would probably blow an inexperienced player out of the water. And I like that a game can offer that sort of strategy. It's elegant, it's simple, the graphic design is beautiful, and the theme is amazing. I would probably do a review for this, but I believe there's already been too many on the Dice Tower. Maybe I'll do one for my own channel here, I don't know, but it's a spectacular game. Okay, Buddy Kingdoms. This one I got because it's a card drafting game. It's designed by Richard Garfield, who is probably the most successful board game designer in the world. Magic the Gathering, which has been coming up with set after set after set for over 20 years now. King of Tokyo, one of the most widely accessible gateway board games. King of New York. So I love his designs. And this one, you've got a 10 by 10 grid. There's 100 cards. There's 100 spots to put your little bunny miniature, and you're trying to connect these different squares with your bunnies, and when you score a round, you're basically multiplying the number of towers on the buildings in your squares times the number of different resources. So if you like drafting game, this has got the potential to be one of the best out there. I've only played 1 time, and it was with my son, who didn't really care for it. But man, I loved it, and I'm excited to play again. I believe it's scheduled for this Wednesday. So probably kills 7 wonders for me. Although that's a great drafting game, I just like how this one is done. You've got a deck of cards like this big. You've got a spot for the 100 different slots, and then you've got cards that you can draft that are like end goal objectives, like have the most places that produce fish. And the mixture of the special cards with the places has one of the best levels of decision making I've seen in a drafting game. So fantastic so far, Bunny Kingdoms. First Martians, the most hyped game of the year by Ignacy Trzewiczek from Portal Games, and I was super excited. It's based on the Robinson Crusoe engine, a worker placement game where you're trying to invent things and build your structure and just survive all the nastiness that happens. And this one fell way short. I pretty much hate the game. I did a review on the Dice Tower, and I really felt that I said everything I had about the game. It was just, there was no fun to be had. It was just a constant battle of frustration. It's just getting ready to hit retail, and I'm not going to go too into detail because I do have a very detailed review over on the Dice Tower, First Martians by Jason Peacock. So, hated it. Fell completely flat. Let's move on. Codenames Duet. If you're a fan of Codenames, this is an easy buy. My wife and I love Codenames. It's one of our game night go-to games. Usually we're either starting game night off with a few games of Codenames or ending it. And we've got some great rivalries going with some other couples that we hang out with. So Codenames Duet, where you're playing cooperatively, it's definitely got a way different feel to it, and it's super hard. Like, it's really the perfect amount of hard. You've got 9 rounds to clear all 15 cards, and you've got a double-sided grid of all the words you have to cover up. And the difficulty is that you can like high five and cheer when you actually pull it off. And generally, I think typically you're going to lose the majority of games, but it's awesome to have that Codenames fix that just my wife and I can get. Plus, I think it's going to make us better Codename players if we're playing this all the time. So both of us have been playing it. She's requesting it pretty regularly. Even my 8-year-old son, we played it a few times today. So if you like Codenames, it's a no-brainer. You got to pick it up. And for those of you that don't know, it's a perfect little party game, except it's almost not a party game because everybody is just super concentrated on the words on the table. It's like a 5x5 grid of words. You've got you've got someone saying one word and then a number. The word is some of those other words, how many of them you could associate with that number. So if I said animal and there happened to be like a pig and a boar on the board, then my partner would have an easy guess. He would point at them, and if he's right, I would cover them up. But you have to make sure you don't accidentally give a clue that ties in the opponent's word, because then they get to put their thing on, and it's a race to cover up all of your own spies. Or the assassin, which means instant loss. Really, really clever game. It makes my brain light up in all the right spots. Codenames, if you've never heard of it, every household needs one. And the number of copies it sold is reflecting that. Okay, another one by Yellow. Bunny Kingdoms is by Yellow Games, and that's Arena for the Gods. It's a King of Tokyo, Kaido style fighting game. Everybody controls a dude in an arena. You've got 20 life points. At the start of the game, everybody bids with their life points to buy like a mount, a weapon, a magic spell, some armor, and then you roll a bunch of dice, and the symbols you get on the dice will activate these cards that you bid for. So you're moving around the arena, you're attacking, you're jumping into like the fountain and grabbing whatever available heals it has. And as soon as somebody dies, whoever has the most life points behind their little screen is the winner. So that's all a bunch of new games I've played. And there have been others that I've played. I don't want this to drag on too long. And then I got to play some old classics. Game of Blood Rage the other night. This is probably my favorite game. We played a 4-player game, and I still love it every time I play. There's just something so pure about putting together a strategy with the way you're drafting cards. And I I made really bad decisions in the third round. I spent too much on this one monster, and my whole overarching plan just kind of failed. I didn't have the rage to pay for it. And I love how I recognized my mistake essentially cost me the game. I could have just devastated in that third round if I had have played it a little bit smarter. Yeah, this game I will play for the rest of my life. It's beautiful. The drafting is phenomenal. The different strategies you put together is excellent, and the being knowledgeable of the game can just make you a really good Blood Rage player where you're hard to beat. And I'm always touting that as something I like in a game. I can handle a little bit of luck, sure, or even a lot of luck if it's the right kind of game. But a strategy game that I love, I prefer that someone who knows the game better and plays it more is going to be a better player and win the majority of the time. Oh, actually, here's a game I didn't really talk about, and I've played it a bunch lately, and that's Terraforming Mars. Great game. Pretty flimsy components. Like, you've got tons of cubes you're dealing with, but with the broken token insert that everything slots into perfectly is like almost a must. But the game is 2 to 4 players. You've got a map of Mars and a deck of cards like this. And the best way to play is where you're drafting cards every round. Every card is unique, and you're trying to, you're getting points by raising the temperature, the oxygen, and putting water on the planet. And this is a great strategy game. I just got the new map, and the fact that a couple we game with really like it. My wife digs it. Means it's going to be hitting the table quite a bit in the future. It's a great game. I highly recommend Terraforming Mars. And finally, I got Scythe back to the table. Yeah, it's actually been great. This couple that my wife and I know from moved to our town. So we're getting together tons and we're gaming quite a bit. And we're playing games like Scythe and Terraforming Mars, which is just awesome. So Scythe got to the table, and this kind of gets me what I was talking about Blood Rage earlier. How you are well aware of the mistakes you made and what it cost you. This is very much a game of making the best decisions possible and outthinking everyone else around the table. Most people have heard of this game. It was one of the most popular games last year. It won Dice Tower Award, Best Game, overwhelmingly. I was a nominee on the awards panel, and everybody was just Scythe, 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 Scythe. It's a great game. It's not my favorite, but I would play it almost any time, and I'm always excited about starting from a clean slate and just trying to play a good game and maybe compete for a win. Okay, so that's all I'm going to talk about this time. Please give me some feedback and comments down below. I do read it. Ask me any questions you want. It's been a long time since I made one of these, maybe a couple of months, but I'm planning on getting back into the swing of things. I'm putting out pretty regular Dice Tower reviews now. I'm really finding my stride, I find. So go check out what I've been doing with the Dice Tower. Leave comments there. I love constructive criticism. You guys are the best. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye-bye.